Thank you. Glad to be a part of this boot camp, and I hope you had a great time learning AI co-pilots and the co-pilot ecosystem in and across Microsoft technology. So I'm going to talk about something new, which is generating text from an input prompt using GPT. And now probably we everyone have used co-pilots in or either in the form of binge or creating bots and trying to get some response using those co-pilots or GPTs. So this is one such scenario wherein how you can go ahead and start creating your own custom prompt right inside Power Platform and integrate either in the form of automation or Power Apps. We'll quickly check on that. I don't believe in having a lot of slides, and I always deep dive live through live demonstration. So I skip as usual. I don't have slides, and I'll just shortly introduce myself and go through these screens. Okay, so myself, Srushti, and I am Microsoft MVP. I have almost close to 7 years of work experience where I worked on not just on Microsoft 365 stack, but also on Power Platform, Azure, and working on AI bits and pieces. So coming to today's topic, as you already know GPT, what it is just a text generation model where you can just directly ask any questions and you can get some response. Now, before I dive into what exactly, okay, let me just go to the Azure portal and I'm going to pick up Azure OpenAI. Yeah. So what we are going to do is I'm going to quickly cover through what Azure OpenAI is and how this is linked through Power Automate. Like, sorry, not Power Automate, but Power Platform. How it is directly linked and can we do something similar to what we have in GPT in Power Platform as well. So whenever you go to portal.azure.com, if you don't have the license, either you can get the free one, free trial if you're a student, then you get some credits. Definitely you have to go and use credit card for that. If you are working in an organization, maybe good to go and check whether you have access to Azure portal or any resource group or you have subscription. If you have Azure portal access and subscription, which is needed, go and hit Azure OpenAI. This is the service which Microsoft is spending a lot of money in. So go and search by Azure OpenAI in the marketplace, and you will land through the interface, which is something like this. Now, if you don't have Azure OpenAI, maybe it is not available to you as of now. You can just directly raise a request through one form. You can just search it. You can Google it, and you will find that form request. Microsoft check those requests and then assign those licenses to you. Once you have Azure OpenAI, I will just straight away go to the resource groups. I have one Azure OpenAI which I have created for myself. So this is the Azure OpenAI service which I've created. Once you are done creating the Azure OpenAI service, you will come and straight away see that there is a lot of things which you can do here. This is just one service. Now it is up to you. How do you want to leverage it? So we'll go to the portal. Let's just go ahead and hit Azure AI portal. And there is Azure OpenAI Studio as well, separately created for your Azure OpenAI. But you don't have to like if you can just go to Azure AI Studio as well. This probably will retire soon, and you all I have to go ahead and use Azure AI Studio. So if I now let me just go ahead and go to the Azure OpenAI Studio so that you have the familiar experience where you can go ahead and start expecting the responses either in the form of text or in the form of images. Let's wait for a second to load. Once you have your Azure OpenAI Studio open, you'll see that similar thing that it is going to go to Azure AI, which is in preview right now. Once it is in GA, you will see the Azure AI Studio experience altogether. Here, what do you see? Let me just close this. And you see that there is a section for chat, completions, DALI, assistance. These are the four things, four services which you can see as part of Azure OpenAI. Now, if you want to go ahead and play with it, go and click on chat experience. Before you start playing with it, what you have to do is you have to create a model. And it will use, you have to create a deployment which is going to consume a model. And that model can be GPT, GPT 3.5, GPT 4, or any of the models. Now, where do you see that? You have to go to the deployments. Hit and create new deployment. Once you create, and you will see what all models it offers. These are the base models. When we talk about GPT, it can be either in the form of 35 turbo or 4 or 32K, depending on the amount of number of tokens. DALI separately for you to generate images. Text embeddings is also one such model. Pick any of the one. Let's just pick GPT 430K, and you can just select any of the model version and give deployment name. Hit on advanced options. You have some of the options to also filter your content. So whenever you create a deployment model, it is up to you how do you want to filter out the content. So when a user will come to this playground, whenever they will search for any of the things, how that content will be filtered. So let's say the content moderation should be always at the top. Right now you can go ahead and select default. The deployment type is just provision manage, and these are the throughput PTU units. How many units do you want this model to be consumed? Once you are done, you also see a calculator here, how it's calculating based on the prompt tokens, based on the number of calls per minute and tokens, generation tokens, and how much it will cost according to whatever you select here. This is a calculator which you can directly use for your uh, resource. It comes handy when you work with an organization where you're dealing with multiple subscription and you have multiple resources. So you should know how much amount of tokens this service is going to use and how much money or expenses this will cost. So that is where it comes handy at. I already have few of the models created. Let me go to the chat section and let's just try to identify whether it is able to respond me back with some of the information or not. What is Power Platform? Let's just type in a simple question and it responds me back with some information. Right now, I haven't yet covered this chat with any of the data. There is no data lying either from SharePoint or from SQL. It is just openly I'm asking, and it is just getting the information right from the training data which it would have been, which it is trained with, and you can see some information which I'm getting back. Now here, what you can see is there are a few options wherein you can replay the chat, clear the chat if you want to start a new thread. There are a few playground settings which we'll look at in some time, and view code. Now, where this information is useful, playground is only useful for you to go ahead and have a look at what all offerings Azure OpenAI offers, either in terms of chat or completions. When I talk about completions, it is firstly you have to select a deployment model, which is one of the deployment. Now you just hit summarize, or what do you want to do with completion? Either you want to generate some slogan, generate something for your flyers, or for your new opening of your store. You want to generate something and classify something. These all things it can do with completions. Either you can extract some information from the text, classify or generate some quiz, etc. So simplest example I think we all would have seen about summarization. To summarize an article or abstract, and if you hit on generate, it will just generate a summary for me. So see, it is working, and it has generated some response. This is how it works. DALI, all you have to do is just this is just a playground where you are supposed to just test out the features. Once you give some model the prompt that give me, just I'll pick up watercolor Seattle skyline, just the one which was already as part of placeholder. Hit generate and it will generate an image for you. Here you will see the same options of code, replaying, copying the prompt. Let's wait. Yeah, it has generated the watercolor Seattle skyline, and these was the closest possible response which it could find. If you want that this was not the correct one, try giving more concise prompts of how do you want your image to be generated like, and maybe you can replay and generate the new images as well. Coming to the another important aspect, this is not just the playground for you to play and test, but you can also find some important information. Like if I want to integrate this service in my code, either in the form of C sharp code or JavaScript, how can I do that? And if I want to consume this service, how I can do that? So whenever you want to consume this service, the important thing is you will consume it as part of endpoint. And where do you find that endpoint information? Let's say I want to just create a chatbot like Copilot, my own Copilot. How can I go ahead and create that using underlining Azure OpenAI? And if you can see from the screen, I can also add my own data. And the data source, it can come from search, blob storage, Cosmos, URL, or uploading files. These are the data sources supported as of now. You can pick any one of them. You can upload any file, store that file in any particular blob storage, or just hit any of the website URL which you want, pass it on, and it will start responding. It will start fetching the responses from that particular source itself. Now, whenever you add the data source, you are restricting your Copilot to only generate responses from that source. That is what you are doing it. You are restricting it so that it is not going beyond, not going throughout the internet and throughout the training data to get the information for you. Once you are done configuring things, you have to go and check on view code. Now, this is the most important, useful thing which you'll find it in the playground. In the view code section, you can either fetch the code in, let me just select, yeah. You can fetch the code in the JSON, Python, C Sharp, or Curl format. Curl is just the JSON version, but it is more simplified for you to read. Hit JSON and you will see what all you have to do. Now you will see that sample code. This is the HTTP endpoint, and this is the body which you are passing it, the message, and what is the role. So apart from the prompt, you can see the prompt here with the content. You also have to pass some of the important properties like temperature, frequency penalty, presence penalty, max number of tokens, stop. These are the properties which you have to pass whenever you want to integrate Azure OpenAI service in any of the code, either website or anywhere. So this is what you have to do. Once you have the endpoint and key, just go ahead and start integrating with any of the services, any of the applications. You're good to go. You will find this for every of the service, not just restricted to chat, but also for DALI and completions. This is the important section. And once you are done configuring it, you can also try those configuration parameters here. So let's say I want to generate the response, which will only generate the response of 1,000 tokens. Just add the value here, 1,000 tokens, and then start playing with the chat, and you see how your how efficiently your Azure OpenAI service is responding you back. These are the properties. You can go ahead and start playing with it. Now you will ask me the question that, hey, I know that this is Azure OpenAI. I can play around with it, and how I can go ahead and consume this in Power Platform. Now here comes the interesting fact. Go to the Power Platform space. Go to the make.powerapps.com, and you will see a section called AI Hub. Probably you everyone would have now who knows the knowledge about who has the knowledge about Power Platform, they would have played with AI Builder, wherein you go ahead and start consuming the pre-built models or you create your own custom models. So when I talk about models, these are the AI services which is either built in for you and given by Microsoft, which you are using it in Power Automates or Power Apps or any of the Power Platform service. While similarly, that Azure OpenAI which we saw, that same thing Microsoft is providing in Power Platform space as part of AI prompts. So now let me go to AI prompts and you will see some of the similar things you can do right from AI Hub. Now here, as you can see, there are few templates which they are providing, and few of them are custom prompts. So if I hit all prompts, so you can see that there are some of the prompts like AI extract, AI classify, summarize, reply, sentiment, whichever is prefixed with AI. These are the pre-built ones which Microsoft is providing me. And there is one another section called custom prompt. Now let's say I don't want to summarize text. Here, if you hit and click on summarize, what it is doing is this is the prompt which it has provided. Please summarize the given so and so information in a way that it is easily understandable by the general audience, and some instructions it has given. Now, let's say you don't want to use summarize in this format and you just want to summarize in less than 50 words, which you don't see it here. How you can do that? Go ahead and create custom prompt. Create custom prompt and just hit summarize the following content. And that content definitely will be your dynamic content. And I will just summarize as the variable. Summarize the this in less than 50 words. Now, if I go ahead and test my prompt and hit, okay, my bad. I have to just go to the information. Let me see if I can find something. Okay, let's just copy this. Mm, yeah, test it out, test prompt. Before even you save and create a custom prompt, you can test it right in the same window. And now you can see I've passed some information about a job description and it is giving me some summarized text and this is less than 50 words. Now what happens if I just pass in this much small paragraph, okay? And I'm trying to summarize. Let me just delete. It's not deleting. Yeah. And let's test this prompt. It is still able to summarize. And now if I just give less than 50 words here, test the prompt, it will still summarize. Now what happens is, as soon as you start reducing your text, so now let me just give this much. And if you see in my prompt, I'm saying that summarize something, and that something is expected to be more than 50 words. And I'm saying that, hey, summarize in less than 50 words. Now the summarizing content itself is less than 50 words, and hit test prompt. See, it is still able to summarize. But in some use cases, when you start summarizing the content and you provide a lesser version, then it starts giving the response that it is unable to summarize. So you just make sure that whatever content you are passing, you pass it according to what prompt you are trying to build. So now let me just close this. And one such example which I have picked up for today is, let's say maybe there is a recruitment team in your organization, and recruitment team comes to different technical ladder like Power Platform, Microsoft, or Azure, or .NET, or CAD, Auto Skill. Any of these skills, they might have created different channels into your teams. And what happens is, whenever a new profile is being shortlisted into your organization, according to the skill, we want to send that profile to that particular recruitment channel. Now, how you can do that using prompts? Now, this is very interesting. What you can do is, I've created a new prompt which is identify key skills. What I've done is, I'm going to pass the job description from the following job description, and this is the variable which is going to hold the whole job description for me. I'm going to identify the key technical skills, and I'm saying the prompt that, hey, give me it in the form of the bulleted format. Now I have copied one skill from here. Let's just copy this, go to our prompt, test the prompt, and here you should get the bulleted version, right? You can see that I'm getting some of the key skills of this job profile, wherein these are some of the skills which it was able to identify. Now, what you can do is, let's say you want to generate this in the tabular format or JSON format. Generate the response in JSON format. I'll just give JSON format, and let's see whether it is able to do that job for me. Wow, this is so great that it is able to generate a JSON. It is taking some of the properties, it is taking the responsibilities and passing those responsibilities in one string, in one array. Also, requirements, same, the key skill requirements, it is able to take and it is able to give it back to me in the JSON format. So, so let's say I want to just write a code and you are just doing something related to code and you want to generate this data in a particular format, either in text or tabular or JSON, whichever suits you the best. You can also let your custom prompt do that for you so that you always get the data information, the response in a particular format with which you can take this information in one format and pass it on and just do whatever you want to do on top of this. Now I am going to close this and show you the use case which I have built. I'm going to go to the skill identification flow. I'll go to the teams as well. Let me just go to teams.microsoft.com. I can just open it from here. Till the time it is opening, let's just go ahead and take a look at the flow which I have built. I will edit this option. how you can consume that created custom model either in your Power Automate or in the Power Apps. So this is one example which you can go ahead and take away with you. I'm going to trigger the flow manually. So by manually, what I'm doing is I'm going to pass that job description from the manual stage. Now, let's say you receive that job description either in your email. You can automatically create the flow, which will have automated trigger, wherein you go to the email box, find that particular key, whether that job description, find that, filter it out through your email filters, like subject the filters, and then maybe you can take that file, and if you have the job description in the file, I'll come to that later, how you can convert that file to text. Once you have that in the text format, then go ahead and use the create text with GPT using prompt. Now I'm using this create text GPT, this connector. What you have to do is you just have to select which model you are going to consume. So I've created the custom prompt model, which is identify key skills. I'm going to use that. For that, definitely, whenever you deal with AI prompts, you have to pass that prompt, right? How you're going to pass that prompt? Right now, it is going to be manually, the one which I'm going to fetch from the above stage. Hit here, you just create or click on the functions properties which you're going to fetch. I have created one input of job description, pass that here. Once you have that, you can either parse JSON if you want to. If not, what I'm doing is I'm going through the text. This is the text which is generated as part of output. The outputs I'm getting in the form of text, not in the JSON format. That JSON was just to give, that was just the trial which I gave it to demo. If my text contains CAD or SolidWorks, then I'm going to pass this job description to that particular group of recruitment team. Now, once I have that, I'm going to post a message in the CAD automation team, which is going to evaluate that particular job profile. If it, again, chaining the another condition, if my job description has words like, or skills has words like Power Apps, Power Platform, or Power Automate, or Power Pages, etc., in the or condition, you can just post this profile to your Power Platform recruitment team. Now you can do a lot of things apart from this much small scenario as well, but this is just a smaller example. Once you are done with it, maybe you want it to be posted into your Teams chat. So that is what I am doing here. If you can go to the team section, you see this is the teams which I've created, which has general CAD automation, etc. And as you can see in the CAD automation, there is this job profile which is already posted. So this is how that flow will work. Now let's go ahead and test this in action. I'm going to pick up the job profile which I already have, and I'm going to demo it manually. Let's just hit enter, test this out, just connecting. Okay, not sure. Run the flow, done. Yeah. Now, once this flow has run, I want to concentrate, I want you all to focus on the create text with GPT using prompt. So let's just go and see the raw outputs. So now what we are going to do is, in the raw outputs, if you can see that there is a response version to JSON, which wherein it is able to generate that response. In the response section, it is showing me the text which it has generated as a response. So now you can see this text, which is the key skills which it was able to identify from the given input. Once it has taken that, let's go ahead and check the condition. For the first version, if I hit condition, go to the show raw inputs, it was able to identify that particular keyword called as CAD. Hence, it is showing me true value. Now let me go back and see the post message. Scroll down to show the outputs. And here in this particular conversation ID, it was able to post a message. If you can go and see, there is a new message which is posted just right now. That is what it has done through the flow. If I would have passed some information related to Power Platform, it would have posted that in that chat group, that channel. So similarly, you can create some use cases on top of, use your prompt, create a custom prompt, and then maybe integrate with the services which you feel. The another example which I have created the custom prompt for is, let's just go back to the AI hub. And there is another section which is identify completed and pending tasks. So now what happens is we are dealing with lot of emails these days. Whenever you are dealing with a project status update or whenever you achieve any milestones or you are dealing with some frequent calls with clients, there is always one follow-up email which your project manager sends out, and they update the stakeholders that hey, this is the follow-up email wherein I am updating the status of these resources has completed this task, and so resource is working on this task. So that is how the follow-up email looks like whenever project manager sends it to the stakeholder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through that email. In that email, I want this prompt to identify the project name for me. Once it has identified the project name, I want a tabular format wherein it gives me that, hey, these are the tasks, these are the complete, this is the status of the task, and who is working on the task. This will be so easy, right, to read for us, like rather than going through that whole email thread, what is going on, who is working on what. Always, maybe daily, you just send out, trigger it on a daily basis and look at the follow-up email or whenever you receive the follow-up email. Probably it is a weekly basis or daily basis or recurring as per your wish. Just it will generate a tabular format for me. You can test this prompt directly as well. Right now, I don't have that whole follow-up text template handy with me, but you can directly test something like this. And whenever let this prompt run through your mailbox, create an automated flow for a particular mailbox, and then subject it via a filter name. Once you are filtering it with the subject name, then this will generate a tabular format. Either you just pass it on through the key important people like who are going to take a look at, probably your stakeholders. They can take a look at it in the team's channel, whether yeah, this is the task for this week, these are the completed ones, and these are the key important things which we discussed. So you can do something like this. This is another example of prompt. Similarly, you can go ahead and create n number of use cases using custom prompt. But let's say if your requirement fits into the scenario where you can directly go ahead and use pre-built ones. So let's take an example of classify prompt, classify text. So you can classify some text information into one of the categories. So let's say you are trying to classify some of the important information like whether this text falls into so and so category. You can do that directly using this pre-built prompt as well. Once you are done, definitely we saw how we can go ahead and use it in Power Automate. Now, how you can go ahead and use it in Power Apps. So go to the Power App screen. I'm going to go to the built-in screen which I have. This is the input. Take the input from your user. Probably this is the job description, same example. On the click of button trigger, what you can do is you have to go to the data section, add AI builder. So there you have some of the AI models. All you have to do is you have to link it through your AI model. So now if I want to identify key important information, then let me just search by identify skills. Do I see that? Identify. Let's just go to the AI models and see whether we are able to see our model, which we generated. Copilot, AI text. So these are some of the models. You can directly use summarize ones as well. AI extract is the custom prompt. We should okay, I haven't refreshed this. Looks like I have to go back and edit. All you have to do is just add the data connector. Just give it a minute for it to load. Okay. Once this is done, go to the screen, add data. You can see that I have already added a few of the custom connectors. These are the data connectors, but not AI builder model. Let's just go ahead and hit AI models and see whether we are able to see our AI models now. If I just use summarize, this is the summarize one, which we just created for less than 50 words. All you have to do is just hit on the button, set a variable, summarized content. Now you have to use the prompt. Sorry, my bad. AI summarize. This is the model which we are going to use. Now this will predict, and if you just see the intelligence, I have to go and provide the value, which is the text. So now this text can be from your input box, and this is the input box. Let's just go ahead and add it, text input 3 dot text. It is not able to identify. What is this? Okay. Dot text. Once you are done, you have to convert this back into the text format, and you are good. So it is showing the error. Let's just skip and see whether this is fine or not. Yeah, this is fine. Oh, my bad. It is showing some error that this scenario is disabled for me. Okay. I can't predict. Maybe my model is not the correct one which I'm using, but you all have to do is just hit predict and then pass it on the same way, and you will definitely it will work. I can go to the example where it is working. Let me see if I can find that. The environment was incorrect. Okay. Let it give it a minute to load. Now let's see that I have already created one application for the use case which I just mentioned, following up of an email. If I just select the button, I haven't done nothing. I've just connected with the model, which is identify completed. This is the custom prompt which I created. And after same thing, this is the predicting. I think my environment was wrong, hence it wasn't able to find that model. So this is how you'll get the response back. You can already start passing it. What it will do is it will just take the response from here. Let's just see. Definitely we're not using summarize one, but let's use the summarize one to see if it is working or not so that we can validate our use case. Let's add the summarize prompt here. Okay, and we'll be using the AI summarize dot predict instead of the other model and passing it here. Once this is done, let's give the full paragraph which we had selected here. Copy, going back to the Power Apps, hit generate response and wait for it to generate. So this is the summary which it has generated for me. And this is the model. This is so big data, and this is a smaller version of it. This is how you can consume it in your application. Maybe this is the smallest use case. But ideally, what you can do is maybe based on the responses which user feeds into the Power Automate, you can trigger the Power in Power Apps, trigger the Power Automate, and let Power Automate do the further processes like approval or sending out a notification or a number of things which you want to do it. This is whole in whole AI Hub, which Microsoft offers as part of Power Platform. But apart from GPT custom prompts, you can definitely, as I mentioned, use the pre-built ones as well. Next space where you can use Copilot is definitely, I think you all would have seen as of now, Copilot panel, where inside this Copilot panel, this is where you can go ahead and start building Power Applications or Power Automates. This is available as part of both. I've also seen it as available in Power Pages as well. Also, while creating a data tables. So start leveraging this Copilot panel and maybe take this as your assistant, and then you can just guide your Copilot to do a lot of stuff. Maybe if you're just dealing with a smaller power application wherein you just have few like 2 to 3 screens and that screens don't have large number of data, maybe it is very small, then I feel that Copilot is not of that great use for you. But if you are dealing with an application where you have more than 10 screens and you want to just generate and pull up the skeleton of your Power App, then the Copilot is the best place. You should use it. You just ask Copilot to create some number of screens with some header headlines for you, and you just start. You have the vanilla with you, and you just start adding more functionalities on top of it. So whenever you have use case where you're dealing with multiple screens, multiple controls, and you just want to create a skeleton, that is where you can start in leveraging Copilot for you. As you can see, you can also ask Copilot to do something. You can change some fields. You can update the properties, do everything right from the Copilot panel. Similarly, if I go to Power Automate, I think you would have already seen the Copilot panel here. You can ask Copilot to add some actions, send out an email, add notification, but at the end, configurations, that is what you have to do it for your own. Copilot will not configure it for you. The other space where you can use like prompts is your dataverse data tables. So if you go to the table section, you can give the prompt, and Copilot will create the data tables for you. And what all you can do with Copilot is it will just create new columns for you. It will just add sample data. You can rename the column. You can remove the columns, update the data types. All of those things you can do it from tables as well. So this is today's session which I wanted to cover. And if you have any more queries, please feel free to reach out, and I am happy to take that up.